Once hailed as the death of piracy, streaming, the new king, was supposed to be entertainment's forever home. But as prices continue to rise, libraries shrinking, and frustration grows, millions are quietly raising the black flag again.
Drink up, me hearty Joe.
Look, 10 years ago, piracy looked dead. If you were around in the early 2010s, you remember this. Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, they weren't just beating piracy, they were making it irrelevant. Why risk sketchy torrents when you could just pay a couple bucks a month and have everything in one click? BitTorrent traffic tanked from over 30% of the internet traffic in 2008 to less than 5% by 2015. That's not a dip, that's a funeral. But here's the twist. We don't realize that funeral was actually an intermission. Because today, here's the plot twist nobody saw coming. The thing that destroyed piracy, it's the same thing bringing it back from the dead.
Stay here. I'll be back.
Back then, you had one or two services, cheap as hell, everything you wanted in one place. Now, The Office is locked up on Peacock. The Last of Us, you better get HBO Max. Family Guy, Hulu. And oh, if a show jumps platforms, congratulations, you're resubscribing just to keep watching. The result? The average US household now pays for 4 different streaming services. That's over $90 a month. That's more than cable in 2015. And outside the US, it's brutal. Entire shows just never release in certain countries. Recently, 65% of international viewers said they couldn't legally watch a title they wanted to. Guess where a lot of them ended up. And here's the kicker. People aren't saying I don't want to pay. They're saying I literally can't find it. Legally. That's the crack in the system. And in a minute, I'm going to show you how that tiny crack turned into a giant leak that's fueling piracy's comeback. So before Netflix blew up, piracy was the move. Look, I'm not endorsing it, I'm just telling you the truth. BitTorrent, LimeWire, the Pirate Bay ruled the internet. If you know, you know. Those were the days. In the mid-2000s, 95% of music downloads were illegal. BitTorrent accounted for a third of all internet traffic. LimeWire had more monthly users than Facebook. And the Pirate Bay was the only video store in town where you could find, well, everything. And here's the crazy part. The whole system was running on this unspoken agreement between creators and fans. You wanted the content, you found it, you downloaded it, done. But then, streaming shows up. And I mean real streaming. Mid-2010s. Netflix killing it with House of Cards, Hulu dropping Handmaid's Tale, Spotify making every song you ever wanted 2 taps away. It wasn't just better, it was frictionless. You didn't have to hunt for files. You didn't have to worry about viruses. You didn't have to wait 6 hours for a download while your mom yelled at you for hogging the internet. It was just click, play, done. And the numbers reflected it. Piracy traffic didn't just dip. It fell off a cliff. People wanted to pay because it was cleaner, cheaper, and flat out faster. It was like, why would I steal something when the legit option is literally easier than stealing it? This was the honeymoon phase. 1 or 2 subscriptions, 90% of the content you wanted in one place. That convenience, that's what killed piracy the first time around. So what happened? Why didn't it last? That's exactly what Chapter 3 is about. And it's where the cracks in streaming turned into the chaos we have today. So here's where the story gets wild. Fast forward to today in streaming, man, it looks nothing like what it was just a few years ago. Remember when Netflix was the platform? Now, you've got Disney Plus, Hulu, HBO Max, well, now Max, Prime Video, Peacock, Paramount Plus, Apple TV Plus, Crunchyroll. Should I continue? And that's just scratching the surface. As of 2025, there are over 200 subscription streaming services worldwide. 200! That's insane! So what does that mean for you? If you want to keep up with your favorite shows, you're shelling out for multiple subscriptions. Netflix's 4K premium plan? $22.99 a month. Disney Plus jacked up its ad-free tier price by 75%, and then added ads to their cheaper plans. HBO Max rebranded, cut hundreds of shows, but raised their fees. Even Amazon Prime? Ads. Unless you pay extra now. But unlike them, if you've ever learned anything in this episode so far, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. After all, it's free. Now check this. It gets even worse outside the US. Regional restrictions block entire shows in Canada, Australia, Europe, forcing fans to use VPNs. VPN usage is up nearly 20% year over year. Forums are flooded with guides to bypass restrictions, many ending with users pirating because, let's be real, sometimes that's the only way. This mess is about what some call in-shitification, a fancy way to say companies care more about squeezing profits than giving customers a good experience. Ironically, piracy is now the service offering what streaming used to be: quality, selection, and owning the content forever. When you pirate, that file's yours. When you stream, your library disappears without warning. So the fight isn't free versus paid anymore, it's reliable versus unreliable. And this chaos, it's fueling the comeback of piracy in a way you'll see unfold in Chapter 4. Because when content's locked away and prices skyrocket, people find other ways to get what they want.
Here they come.
Here's the truth. Piracy never died. It just went underground. And now, it's blown up again. Data shows piracy site visits are up 18% globally in the last 2 years. And it's the TV shows driving most of that spike. Why? Because of something we talked about in Chapter 3, exclusivity. When Game of Thrones dropped, it was the most pirated show in history. Because HBO wasn't everywhere. The same thing's happening now with The Last of Us, The Mandalorian, Attack on Titan. The more studios lock content away, the more people find, other routes. Talk about irony. It's like they're shooting themselves in the foot. And piracy itself? That's not what it used to be. Back in the day, you had to hunt down torrents, deal with sketchy pop-ups, wait hours for downloads. Today, piracy platforms look and feel just like the legit streaming apps. Organized libraries, search filters, 4K playback. Sometimes they're even faster and ad-free. This shift is huge because for many people, piracy isn't just about free stuff. It's a form of resistance against a fragmented, expensive, and frustrating streaming landscape. Pirates today talk about time shifting or archiving, making sure they keep access to content that might disappear without warning. So the conversation isn't, is piracy wrong anymore? It's, is piracy the only option left? But what's next? Hang tight because in Chapter 5, we break down how the music industry cracked this code and what streaming giants need to do if they want to win back the game. Here's the punchline. You can't kill piracy by suing people into oblivion. The music industry already learned that. They crushed piracy by making it irrelevant. Spotify and Apple Music gave people everything for a fair price. And suddenly, piracy felt like a downgrade. Now imagine if the film and TV world learned a thing or two and did the same. Here's the deal. For streaming to pull that off, the fix isn't complicated. Companies need to stop chasing short-term profits with price hikes and exclusivity walls. Instead, they need to prioritize customer experience, set fair prices, and give people ownership or at least guaranteed stable access to whatever they buy. Transparency matters. Tell audiences what's coming, what's leaving, and why. Build trust, because once trust breaks, people jump ship, or worse, pirate. Then there's the global problem. Regional restrictions and delayed releases don't just frustrate fans, they push them straight towards piracy. Coordinated international licensing? That's the future. Unlock markets, build loyalty, and make piracy less appealing worldwide. Streaming isn't dead, but it's standing at a crossroads. Audiences will pay for convenience and fairness, but if companies keep raising prices, locking down content, and treating shows like disposable goods, they'll push millions back into the piracy ocean, the exact thing streaming was supposed to kill. And in that scenario, piracy won't just survive, it'll thrive. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss our next video. And I'll see you in the next one. Signing off for now.